space, in this holy time, we join together.
Page 4.
Page 3. Two claps.
Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov. Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine ma tov.
Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov. Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
How good it is. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is to be together on this day.
How good. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is to be together on this day.
Hine ma tov.
Hine ma tov. Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov. Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
One last time. Hine ma tov.
Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov. Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
It is so great and wonderful to be here together, family and friends, all from near and far to celebrate our man here, Moses. We are so glad that all of you can be joining us from near and far, especially those who are joining us online from Germany, from Israel, from Canada, from California, and our TE family from all around the city of Atlanta, and especially to everyone here who is joining us in support of Mo as he becomes a bar mitzvah. A few moments of instruction before we get underway. First is to make sure that all of your cell phones, all of your Apple Watches, any devices that you have that might beep, that might make any kind of noise that would distract you, now's the time to turn it off. You don't want to be that person during silent prayer whose ESPN alert goes off, giving the Braves score or whatever score you're waiting on, or the reminder to take your medicine. As you were coming in, you should have seen there was a cart with red sidurim. It looks just like this. That is what we'll be praying from, and so you will see, we'll be calling out the page numbers. There is Hebrew, there is English, there is transliteration. If you know the melody, please sing along and join us. If you just like the melody and you want to tap your feet, clap your hands, snap your fingers, hum along, please do that as well. This is a participatory service, and we want to make sure that Mo has all of our energy so that he can give it right back to us, and that this ceremony, this time together can be truly, truly amazing. Forgetting anything?
Yeah.
Oh.
Who are you?
Oh, that's right, yeah. I'm Rabbi Max. I'm here with Rabbi Rachel Klein-Miller and Cantor Lauren Adezik, and of course we all know the main man Mo here tonight, Moses Anderson. If for some reason we need to exit our ceremony, there is an exit behind us over to the rear, an exit over here that will lead us down that way, and an exit behind. If you need to use the restroom, use the left door. It's a push. We didn't lock you in here. Don't try and push all those doors. Just push on the left door and that'll get you out. All right. Shall we get started with a little Hine Ma Tov?
I think so.
Warm up
Here we
again.
go.
Page 3.
Hine ma tov.
Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine ma tov.
Hine ma tov. Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
How good it is. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is to be together on this day.
How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is to be together on this day.
Hine ma tov.
Hine ma tov. Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. טוב ומנעים שבת אחים גם יחד
שבת אחים גם יחד.
All right, Mo, this is the time for your talit. Spike and Marita, please come on up so that you can present Moses with his talit. This garment that you wear, Moses, at each and every Jewish occasion, these holy moments, to symbolize all of the mitzvot, all of the ways that we remind ourselves to be Jewish. This cloth, simple cloth, although beautiful, around your neck, may it always be that symbol for you.
Moses. The Zohar, which, as you know, I take great pleasure in studying, is really a conversation between great wisdom sages and sometimes simple fools who actually are the wise ones. It's an ongoing dialogue about the human capacity to see and be present with the divine. What does it mean to be close to God, they ask. One of the answers I love is about the way in which it is actually impossible for human beings to be in the presence of God. We need a special garment. Because the Zohar says when souls ascend to the site of the bundle of life, there they bask in radiance of resplendent clarity, shining from the highest sight of all. The soul, you see, cannot bear the powerful emanation of light unless it is garbed in a special garment. Some say the garment is our physical body. Some say the garment is our prayer shawl, just like this talit. The Zohar reminds us that the garment of our life that allows us to experience the divine is actually weaved from the virtues and the mitzvot and the good deeds of our everyday life. It is not enough to pray or fast or meditate to experience the life of spirituality. We must live with ethics and follow the path of justice. And with this prayer shawl, may you do just that. We weaved it as a family for you together, and may you wear it in health.
Mo, the inscription that we chose for you is a line from Talmud which translates, "If all the seas were ink." And it's an inscription that we think represents you and who you are. It's an invitation, a doorway for studying and knowledge, pursuit of higher thinking, which you do naturally. And this is our way of draping around your shoulders this idea that knowledge and the pursuit of it will be something that you would wear proudly and often, and that would be the way that you would walk forward.
As this talit is draped around your shoulders, may the voices of the generations speak to you. May you know that there is a people, a rich heritage to which you belong, a sacred place from which you are connected to all who dwell on earth.
Moses, as you're embraced in the folds of this talit, so too are you wrapped in the loving embrace of your family, community, and this holy congregation. May the simplest of garments be for you always a sign of God's abiding and sheltering presence.
As you recite the blessing and wrap yourself in this talit, we proudly watch and celebrate with you as you accept your place in the chain of our tradition.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen.
And we join together in a Shehechianu, a prayer giving gratitude to God for enabling us to reach this amazing moment.
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu l'zman hazeh.
page 6, Mo, you begin this service for us with a prayer spoken by each bar mitzvah student as they stand before their congregation.
God, be with me on this occasion of my bar mitzvah. Help me make meaningful the covenant you now establish with me. Sustain me with a sense of holiness, inspire in me a desire to be special. I do not ask that you make my life easy, resolve my problems, map out the directions of my life. I ask only that you strengthen within me the desire to mold and shape my life in accordance with your will. In the hour of my bar mitzvah, I invoke your blessings upon my parents and friends and all who have loved and cared for me and have brought me to this time of gladness. Give them joy and fulfillment in my growth and my achievement. You who turns the hearts of children to their parents and the hearts of parents to their children.
Thank you. Page 10. Mo, in a second, you're going to help us chant Ashrei, which begins by talking about happiness. And that's what we're here to bring today, this afternoon, is excessive joy for you in your achievement of reaching this day. And this prayer, though, Ashrei, obviously it's a prayer that we get to do a lot. It's not one that you just do on the day of your bar mitzvah. And so it's that prayer that you go to when you need that little lift, something to remind you that when we are happy in the house of God, that we then can bring that joy out from the home into the rest of the world so that we can bring that extra bit of joy for everyone else. Ashrei, page 10.
Ashrei yoshvei veitzecha, od yalelu al sela.
Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo, Ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Eloha.
Tehila leDavid, aromimcha el chai hamelech, v'avracha shimcha leolam va'ed.
B'chol yom avarchecha, v'halal shimcha leolam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai umchul al mod, v'ligdulato ein cheker.
Dor v'dor yishabach ma'asecha, u'gvurotecha yagidu.
Hadar kavod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha.
Ve'ezuz noratecha yomeru, u'gdulatecha asaprena.
Zecher rav tuvcha yebiyu, v'tzidatcha yeranenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim u'gdal chesed.
Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol masav.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yevarchucha.
Kavod malchutcha yomeru, u'gvuratcha yedaberu.
Le'odia livnei ha'adam gevurotav, u'kvod hadar malchuto.
Malchutcha malchut kol alamim, u'memshaltcha b'chol dor vador.
Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zokef lechol hakfufim.
Einei chol elecha yisaberu, v'ata noten lachem et ochlam bito.
Poteach et yadecha, u'masbia lechol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai b'chol tarachav, v'chasid b'chol masav.
Karov Adonai lechol korav, lechol asher yikra'uhu ve'emet.
Ritzoni re'av yaseh, v'et shavtam yishma ve'yoshem.
Shomer Adonai et kol ohavav, ve'et kol harshaim yashmi.
Tehilat Adonai yedaber pi, v'yivra'ech kol basar, shem kodsho le'olam va'ed.
V'anachnu nevarech ya, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah.
So, Mo, we transition to page 13, going from we bless God now and always, hallelujah, bringing a bunch of joy into the space, and then we go straight into a prayer of welcoming, making sure that everybody knows that they have a place in this synagogue to sit, a place in the synagogue to stand, a place in this synagogue to be. And so, friends, as Mo leads us in this prayer, anytime you're going to see those italics, go ahead and join with me in the prayer. And we'll say those italicized parts all together. And the more you put into that, the more Mo is going to then push it back out to you. Page 13.
May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship.
May
it welcome all who have cares to unburden,
things to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit indifference, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
Our call to worship, Baruch Hu, page 15. Please rise.
Yai la lai
Lai, 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 lai. Lai, la, lai, 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 lai.
Yai la
Lai, la, lai, 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 lai. Lai, la, lai, 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 lai. Lai, la, lai, 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 lai. Ya, la, lai. Lai, la, lai, 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 lai. Lai, la, lai, 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 lai. Lai, la, lai, 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 lai.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Friends, I'll invite you to turn to, I guess it's your front inside cover of your prayer book, because there you will find our evening prayer of Ma'ariv Aravim. And Moses, this prayer, it speaks about God speaking the evening into being. And Mo, we, as you know, just finished the earth coming into being, the world coming into being through God's speech. Now we're talking about God bringing in the night through speech. I think Judaism is trying to tell us something very important, which is that speech really matters. The words that we use matter. And that whether it's the morning prayer of Yotzer or the evening prayer of Ma'ariv Aravim, that the speech that we do, Mo, the speech that we put out into the world, it has a connection. It allows us to go from day to midday to night and back again. That without that speech to one another, without that godliness to one another, the sun, it won't rise in the same way and it won't set in the same way. And so we offer this prayer as a reminder to God that we're trying, and to ourselves that God is a part of the process with us. Ma'ariv Aravim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach sharim, uvidvuna meshane itim, umchalif et hazmanim, umseder et hakohavim, b'mishmerotechem, barakira kirsono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipne choshech, Belchoshe mibne or, umevir yom umeve laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shmo, El chai vekayam, tamid yimloch aleinu lelam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
Amen. Page 16. We are called to love God's name, to be in awe of it, as much as we are told that we have a loving God who cares about us. And that's about relationship, that a love can't be just one directional. You love your parents. I'm pretty sure your parents love you a lot. Even your siblings, you love them, and they love you back. And that is that cycle that is necessary for love to exist. And so when we pray these words, we are thinking about how we can love God's name and to actually be in awe of that name. And what does it mean to have a sense of something bigger than ourselves in the world? We're in a beautiful space to be reflecting on that, as you don't get to see this, but you are flanked by these beautiful trees behind you. Torah, I've got the best angle in the house, if you will. And this is the surrounding to really be thinking, each of us, not just Mo, each of us, how we can find more awe and more God in our lives and in today, right now. Page 16, Ahava Rabbah.
Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chemla Gidola Vitera Chamalta Aleinu, Ba'avora Avotenu, Vimotenu, Shabbat Vecha, Vatlamdem Chuke Chaim, Kain Techanenu Utlamdenu. Chem Rahem Aleinu, Viten Bilibenu, Lahavin Uhaskil Lishmoa, Liomod Ulamed, Lishmor V'La'asot Ulkayem, Et Kol Divrei Talmud Tartecha Ba'ahava, Baruch Atah Adonai, Haboher Ba'amo Yisrael Ba'ahava.
Amen. On page 18, I invite you to feel your feet on the floor. Notice your breath. Quiet everything around you. Perhaps cover your eyes or look at the words on the page. We join together declaring that oneness of God. Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Ba'ed.
Please be seated. Well, with V'ahavta, this prayer that accompanies the Shema, it's all about the Jewish guidebook for living, about where we keep our Jewish values, where we feel most at home, and what our text says, Mo, is that we feel that Judaism, that Jewish neshama, when we're at home, when we're out at school, when we're playing in the synagogue, the basketball court, wherever we are, Mo, that is exactly the opportunity to live with those Jewish values. And that talit that you wear, that reminds us that we always have it around us, every door that you enter with the mezuzah, on every doorpost, that we should always be the forefront of our minds, our hearts, at the tips of our hands, guiding each and every one of our actions. We join together with you in V'ahavta, page 18.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vechayu hadvarim cha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'leftecha b'derech u'shochbecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam leot al yedecha lehayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tiskeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, veitem kedoshim Elohehem. Ani Adonai Elohehem, asher arteiti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lehem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohehem,
Adonai Elohim emet.
My pleasure to invite up Doug Lickman and Inessa Grinberg to read for us, lead us in this responsive reading on page 19 at the bottom. And you can just come on up and step up to the microphone.
Adonai, our God, you took us out of slavery in Egypt. You made us free.
You were in the courage with which we overcame 40 years of desert wandering.
Even today, you are in the hope that, like a beam of light, brightened the darkness of suffering and despair.
You are in the love that creates, protects, forgives.
Standing at the sea, we felt your goodness and your love, and we sang a new song to you. And still today, we sing that song.
We praise you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. Our song of freedom, Micha Mocha, page 20.
All right, everyone. This is that perfect moment to give Mo all of that energy. So I'm going to invite you all to clap your hands to the beat. You can follow along with the rabbis. Here we go with some yai-lai-lais.
Mocha ba'alim Adonai, Micha mocha ne'etar b'kodesh, Nora tehilo osei fele, Nora tehilo osei fele.
כפר אדוני תעקב, וכאלון יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, כעל ישראל.
Mo, our next prayer, the Amidah, this is the epitome of what it means to be a bar mitzvah. You're standing here surrounded by family who have done just the same as you, surrounded by friends who are a part of your chain of tradition, that as they have stood there as parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, they are all, just like Abraham and Sarah and all of their descendants, a part of this chain, praising God, one community, filled with all of the holiness in the world. As we proclaim these words of the Amidah, you join that chain of tradition. We rise for the Amidah, page 21.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Astei Avot v'Imavot, U'mevi Geulah Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo Yahweh, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Megen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayer HaKol Tarav L'Yoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayer HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Giburot, U'Midom Elah, Melech Memit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiah Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah le'hayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol.
We remain standing. It's my pleasure to invite up Annie Huntley to read for us these words found on page 23 at the microphone over here in our responsive prayer. We got it. We're all good.
I think you're holding a big copy of it right underneath your siddur.
So you're going to read the bold part.
Many are the ways of holiness, varied are its paths.
There is holiness when we strive to be true to the best we know.
There is holiness when we are kind to others.
There is holiness when we strive for harmony in all of our relationships.
There is holiness when people of different backgrounds work together for a common future.
There is holiness when people seek justice and struggle for righteousness.
There is holiness when people create lasting poetry or song or philosophy.
There is holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us.
Holy, holy, holy is Adonai our God.
Thank you very much. We continue with Kiddusha, page 24.
Nekadesh Shemcha ba'olam, Kishem shemati shemo oto b'shmei marom, kakatuv al yad necha, v'kara zel ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech haaretz, Kevodo, Adir Adirenu Adonai Eloheinu, Adir Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimkomo. Echad Eloheinu, Hu Avinu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu v'Hu Yashvienu, V'rachamav l'nei kol chai, Ani Adonai Echechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Zion, Ledor v'dor. Hallelujah. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Nagid galecha. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Nagid galecha. Ulenetzach netzachim. Kedushatecha nakdish. Kedushatecha nakdish. V'shivcha Eloheinu mipilu lo yamush le'olam va'ed. And here comes your part. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Nagid galecha. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Ledor v'dor. Nagid galecha. Ki hamelech gadol, gadol v'kadosh, gadol v'kadosh atah. Ki hamelech gadol, gadol v'kadosh, gadol v'kadosh atah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Amen. Page 25, Mo, as you lead us in our responsive prayers, please be seated.
From of old, the Jewish people have seen Shabbat as a unique gift, a token of its covenant with God.
Shabbat is the most cherished creation of the Jewish spirit. It mirrors the essence of the Jewish soul.
Shabbat has never been merely a day of rest from labor. It has always been a break in the routine of everyday life.
Shabbat is a symbol of liberation and triumph, of the holy over the profane, of spirit over matter.
In every age, Shabbat afforded the Jew a sacred retreat, a haven of safety, a fountain of new strength, and a perpetual renewal.
Family life in love and harmony, a home at peace welcomes Shabbat with joy.
Shabbat is part of nature's design, the very purpose of creation. All that was created attained its fulfillment in Shabbat.
Shabbat is our hope, the calm haven where all the weary find rest. With the coming of Shabbat, redemption and peace enter the world. So, Mo, with our next prayer, Yismechu, it's all about joy on Shabbat. And what could we imagine being a more joyful Shabbat than bringing together all of your most loved family and friends, having people joining us from around the world to celebrate not only being Jewish, but to celebrate you being the wonderful person that you are as you become the adult in our Jewish community. And so we have to ask ourselves, and this is a real question of what brings us joy on Shabbat? What brings us joy when we are here together? This is, it's not rhetorical. Lulu. Sitting at the table with the family, just talking. I love it. What else brings joy? Yeah, Edie. Nature. Being out here especially. Yes, absolutely. Mo, what about you? What brings you joy?
Spending time with my family and my peers and connecting with God.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Rabbi Rachel?
Right now, what brings me super joy on Shabbat is that our daughter Zohara now knows where all of the Shabbat items are, and she brings them one by one to the table to help us get ready for
With
Shabbat.
gusto.
With gusto.
Cantor, what about you? What brings you joy?
My daughter Lavender brings me so much joy, not just on Shabbat, but every single day.
I feel that joy when we gather together, when we get to sing together and see all of these wonderful faces that maybe we haven't seen in months or in years, or especially over the past 18 months. Getting together like this is truly, truly joyful. And so we bring together that Shabbat joy with Yismechu, page 26.
Yismechu
v'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'koreh, Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'koreh, Oneg Shabbat. V'kadeshei Shvi Shabbat. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'koreh, Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'koreh, Oneg Shabbat. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'koreh, Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'koreh, Oneg Shabbat. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'koreh, Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'koreh, Oneg Shabbat.
Carrying on this energy of Shabbat, what'd I do? Yeah.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
great.
Mhm.
Great.
We're going to invite forward,
Okay, good.
right? Shell Pink, to lead us in the responsive reading on page 27. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I jumped.
You're good.
But she's
You're good. Beat it, Shell.
Our world is full of wonders and miracles, but all it takes is one little hand placed before our eyes and we see nothing.
But miracles are all around us and within us. We are each walking miracles.
When we are bruised, what miracle heals us? When we see beauty, what miracle elevates us? When we hear music, what miracle moves us?
When we see suffering, what miracle saddens us? When we give and receive love, what miracle warms us? When we pray, what miracle renews us?
Every springtime is a miracle. Every snowflake is a miracle. The thoughts we think, the words we speak, the hopes we cherish, each is a miracle.
For all these miracles, may your name be exalted and blessed forever and ever.
Thank you. Turning to page 28, it's my pleasure to invite forward Bahar and Greg Rinsler to lead us in this prayer, and we'll do it once again responsibly with gusto.
Our God, we know there is no greater gift than peace. Help us to find the peace that comes from the love of your Torah.
Inspire us to banish hatred, war, bloodshed, and bigotry. Help us to establish forever one human family, doing your will in love and peace.
Help us to find peace in ourselves and among all people. O God of peace, bless us with peace.
You've given us the power, O God,
to bring peace and justice into the world. May we always love peace and pursue it, and love our fellow creatures. Fill us with kindness, wisdom, and love. Then shall we learn to live in peace. Blessed is God, teacher of peace.
Oh, diabo. Oh,
Yep, go ahead.
oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Peace will come to us, to all of the world. Nothing but peace. Oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Al kulam. So beautiful. Oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Al kulam. Oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Oh, diabo, shalom aleinu. Al kulam. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, 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 salam. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Oh, diavo shalom aleinu. Oh, diavo shalom aleinu. Oh, diavo shalom aleinu. Hey, al kulam. Oh, diavo shalom aleinu. Oh, diavo shalom aleinu. Oh, diavo shalom aleinu. Hey, al kulam.
Friends, we'll take a few moments here to either continue praying the words of our Siddur privately, or to turn in and to pray those words that are written on our heart. Strange is our situation here on earth. Each of us has come for a short visit, not knowing why, yet sometimes seeming to divine a purpose. From the standpoint of daily life, however, there is one thing we do know, that we are here for the sake of humanity, for the countless unknown souls with those whose fates we are connected by a bond of sympathy. Many times a day, I realize how my own outer and inner life is built on the labors of my fellow human beings, both living and dead, and how earnestly I must exert myself in order to give in return as much as I have received and am still receiving.
It is never, we can never pray for peace too much. We find these words, Oseh Shalom B'Mamav, on page 30.
And so now, as Lulu makes her way back, hugs and kisses to her as well, it's my honor to call forward proud mom and dad, Spike and Marita, for the parent blessing that you can follow along with on page 31.
May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come. And may you trust in generations past and yet to be.
May your heart be filled with intuition, and your words be filled with insight. Make songs of praise ever be upon your tongue, and your vision be on a straight path before you.
May your eyes shine with the light of holy words, and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom, and your fulfillment be in righteousness.
A Jewish home opens its heart, and its link to the generations is proclaimed. Today, our child, nearly grown, is called to read from the Torah and is welcomed into the congregation.
May this moment be blessed.
Hugs and kisses. Mom and Dad, you're going to actually stay right where you are. And in just a moment, we'll invite everybody to rise. I'm going to call up some folks first. I am going to invite up our Ark openers, Susan and Larry Solomon, up to our Ark, and our Torah undressers, Rabbi Leora Kay and Lulu Anderson, to come up. And I'm going to invite all of our generations, our grandparents, Carol and Howard Anderson, Alla and David Gringaus, to come on up and join the family. And now it is my pleasure to invite the entire Kahal to rise, and we will turn to our Torah Service on page 32 at the bottom, joining together. We open the Ark as we do so. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Udevor Adonai Yerushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael B'Kedushato. So Moses, we are coming to another one of what I like to call awesome moments throughout this afternoon's bar mitzvah ceremony. So you received your talit from mom and dad, and you have led us beautifully in prayer. And now you are the next in line to receive Torah from generations past. So take a look, see mom, right there. I actually want you to look around. Yep, and you see your grandparents, and then look at dad, and there's grandparents over there, and look at dad, who is just beaming with pride. And of course, we know that not all of the generations are here. We have some very special people who are beaming in their smiles from across the world. Your great-grandmother, Sunshine, Aunt Vali, Cousin Alex, your cousins from Germany. They're from Israel. Your cousins from Germany, Zenya and Masha. Pretty incredible. And then, of course, we know there are those that came before, and those that came before them, and before them, and before them. All the way back, Moses, to Abraham and Sarah. So you're going to receive this Torah now in your arms. And as you feel its weight, think about that weight, that history, that gorgeous, beautiful, rich Jewish heritage that you received now. Rabbi, I invite you to pass the Torah through the generations. Got it? Feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Feels good. Okay, here's what's about to happen. We are going to turn to page 33 at the top, and following our top 3 blessings, Moses is going to lead the whole family in a hakafah, a tour, if you will, of the Torah, and everybody in the family will meet back up here, and Rabbi Leora, Kay, and Lulu will undress the Torah, and we will continue our service. The top of page 33. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Unirom Ima, Shemo Yachdav, Lecha Adonai Hagidura, V'Hagidura, V'Tiferet, V'Hanetzach, V'Hahod,
כי חוב השמיים ובארץ, כי חוב השמיים ובארץ, אדוני הממלכה, והמתנשא אל כל ראש. אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. Yai nai nai, yai nai nai, yai nai nai, nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai nai, yai nai nai, yai nai nai, nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai nai, yai nai nai, yai nai nai nai.
Everybody may be seated.
Yad is right there. Just want to make sure that he's set. Okay, he's set. Okay, good.
You guys good?
I think we're good.
All right. So, friends, in just a second, Moses is going to do a lot of things. He's going to chant for us first, though, from Parshat Noah. We're in the Torah portion of Noah and his intriguing story with all of its drama. And if you'd like to...
Well,
just
I
listen
think-
in.
Yes,
Oh, make him really drum.
there are.
Go get him.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have Torah commentaries that will be coming around, and so remember the number 57. That's the page where we are going to begin from. And this Torah portion, which Mo is going to teach us all about, it's one that is, there is so much room for interpretation, so much. Moses and I debated so much that we had to add meetings because we weren't done debating. And it's about righteousness. It's about starting fresh. It's about how can we begin anew and feel that renewal. Truly feel it. Because Noah, he kind of struggles with it. And so Mo will teach us a little bit more about this portion in just a little while. But for now, are we not doing plows? We're not doing plows. Okay. Forget 57, but you do want to turn to page 34 in your red Siddur.
For the honor of our first Aliyah, we call up to the Bima Carol and Howard Anderson, Catherine Price, and Jake Anderson Bialis. Ya'amdu Shana Gassi bat Herschel V'chaya, Tzvi ben Milton, Leah bat Tzvi v'Shana Gassi, Yitzchak ben Tzvi v'Shana Gassi, La'aliyah la Torah.
Have the mic. Just retry
Baruch Adonai HaMevarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Amen.
Amen. Eile Toldot Noah, Noah. Isadik Tamim Chaya Bedorotav Et Elohim Yitaleh Noah. Vayele Noah Shalosh Avanim Et Shemet Cham Vet Yafet Vet Yishachet Haaretz Lefanei Elohim V'timalech Haaretz Chamas.
Yasher Koach.
We grab the blessings from there. Whenever you guys are ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam notam b'tomchenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hugs and kisses all around for Moses. Moses, look at your I love you. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. And we'll invite you all to come on over here. This is the first time we've done this in 18 months to completely surround the Torah. So you guys are going to hang out right here. Yep. And you can, right where Rabbi is pointing, you can fill in this area. And it is my honor to call up to the Bima for the second Aliyah, Allah and David Gringas and Maccabee Anderson. Ya'amdu Allah bat Shalom ve'ora, David ben Mira u'Baruch, Maccabee ben Rav Amnon Yosef ve'Avigail, la'aliyah la Torah.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam. Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim ve'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayar Elohim et haaretz v'hinei nishchata ki hishkit kol basar et darko el haaretz. Vayomer Elohim lanoah ketz kol basar ba'lefanai ki milah haaretz hamas mimnechem v'hineni mishitam et haaretz. Asay lecha tavit asay gofer kinim taseh et chateva uchvarta ata mebayit umichutz ba'kofer.
Asher Koach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hugs and kisses, and we ask grandparents and aunt and uncle, you can have a seat. And grandparents and proud older brother Maccabee, you can hang out right in front of these music stands. Right up here. Yep. And for the honor of our third Aliyah, it is a pleasure to call very proud mom and dad to the bima. Ya'amdu Rav Amnon Yosef ben Tzvi v'Shina Gassi Abigail bat David v'Ala la'Aliyah Torah.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Va'azeh asher taseh ota shalosh me'ot ama orech hateva 50 ama rochba v'shilishim ama komota zochar taseh lateva ve'lama techalen al milmala ufetach hatera betzida tachsim tachtim shnim v'shilishim ta'aseh Va'ani hineni mevi etcha mebul mayim el haaretz yishachet kol basar asher bo ruach haim meshachet chashamayim kol asher ba'aretz yigva.
Yasher Koach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hugs and kisses. And Allah and David and Maccabee, you can be seated. And Mom and Dad, you're going to stay right there. Keep an eye on the yod. And Moses, you're going to come, I think the best place. Come on over here and have a quick seat. And now you're going to get to find out why you're having a seat. So, this is yet another awesome moment, right? We talked about that word awesome, that sense of, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. And so here we are. You've received Torah in addition to leading us so beautifully in prayer, in addition to receiving your talit. And now it is that moment, Moses, that you are going to ascend into becoming a bar mitzvah. And so you're sitting because in a moment you are going to demonstrate that ascending physically. But really what you're also doing is you are moving upwards, and I would also say moving deeper into your Jewish spirituality, your connection to your heritage, your people, your family, and most importantly to God. And in doing so, in making that aliyah, that ascension, that rising up, you are not only elevating yourself, you are elevating everybody here in this moment with you, everybody who is watching all over the world, and everybody in this world. So it is my pleasure now to call you up. You can walk on up to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. Yamod Habachur Habar Mitzvah Moshe ben Rav Amnon Yosef ve'Abigail la'Aliyah Torah.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'hakimoti et briti ita uvatal hateva ata uvanecha v'ishtecha u'nshevanecha ita umikol hachai mikol basar shnayim mikol Tavia hatava lehihiyo tita zachar inkuva yehihiyu mehaof leminehu umin hebehema lemina mikor mesadama leminehu shenai mikor yavo elecha lecha chayot.
Yasher
Yasher
koach.
koach.
Good blessing after the
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hugs and kisses.
Yeah.
Mazel tov. Shar koach. All right, so we can roll up the Torah. We're not going to put it all the way away, but we're just going to set it there. And why don't we put the top over it just so it can. All right, Mo. So, if this day wasn't already filled with enough blessings, this is our opportunity to offer just a few more. As you are, okay, come on, closer. As you are as you are bar mitzvah, having had your aliyah bar mitzvah, it is our pleasure to bless you with a mishaberach prayer for your spiritual growth. And it's my pleasure also to invite up Rabbi Lior Kay to join us on the bima. Can we get a mic? Well, for everyone online. Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech et Moshe ben Rav Amnon Yosef v'Avigail Shehigia lemitzvot v'ala leTorah HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yishmerehu v'Yichayehu v'Yichonen et libo lihiyot shalem im Adonai Elohav lehagot b'Torato lalechet b'drachav v'lishmor mitzvotav v'yimtzeh chen v'secher tov be'enei Elohim v'Adam v'nomar
Amen.
Amen.
So Mo, may God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you. Because you have come for an aliyah upon the age of mitzvot. So may the Holy One, Mo, may that Holy One guard you, sustain you, helping you to be wholehearted in your faith, continuing to study God's Torah, to walk in God's ways and fulfill God's mitzvot. May you find favor before God and all people. And let us say,
Amen.
So there's a tiny little story about a Jewish summer camp that on Saturday afternoon they would have a big buffet for lunch. And the kids would go up to the buffet and they were allowed to go up on their own. And one week, buffet was out and the kids were walking through, and as they walked through, they got to a big bowl of apples, and in front of the bowl of apples there was a note that said, "Please only take one, God is watching." Okay, and the kids are going through, and there was one kid who got to that, read the note, kept going, went over to the kitchen, and he asked for a pen and a paper. He gave him pen and paper, he sort of scribbled something out, and he went back and he put a different note up on that table. And the rest of the kids that came through, they got to the bowl of the apples, they saw the note at the bowl of the apples, they went a little bit further, and they saw a note in front of the bowl of cookies. And the note in front of the bowl of the cookies said, "Take as many as you want, God is watching the apples." So there's a reason I'm telling this story today to you, and it's because when I was asked to give like a little bit of a blessing for you during Misha Berach, I thought about everyone in your family that I know, and I know pretty much everyone in your family. I know your aunts and your uncles. I know both sets of your grandparents pretty well. I know your brother and your sister, and I really know your mom and dad. And the thing about that story is that that kid who wrote that note, he was really clever, but he was also putting more sweetness into the world. You come from a line of people who are very, very smart. All of them have gone through a lot in their lives, and they made really smart, good choices. But more than anything, they put way more sweetness into the world. Every single one of them. And I told you, I know them all real well. So my blessing for you today is that you get that same stuff from all of them. Real smart, but more importantly, just put way more sweetness into the world.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Don't go too far. So, friends, we're going to go ahead and turn to page
36.
Page 36. Please rise. Oh, yeah. And Lulu, come on up with the lovely Rabbi Leora Kay, because you're going to help dress the Torah. All right.
V'zotat Torah asher shel Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai. Yalla lai 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 lai. Yalla lai 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 lai. One more time. Yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai. Yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai. Yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai.
That's going to make its way over to, you want to put it back down or on the Torah stand? Either one. Please be seated. And, yep, This is the time. Mo is going to teach us some amazing, amazing words of Torah. So settle in.
Shabbat Shalom. My Torah portion is Noah from the book of Genesis. In my Torah portion, Noah is described as an Ish Sadiq B'dorotav, a righteous man in his generation. Noah receives a message from God that the people of earth had become evil. And so God plans to send a flood, killing all that breathes. God then tells Noah to build an ark, which will house 2 of every animal, male and female, as well as Noah's family. Then Noah executed God's wishes as he was told to, without a word of argument. 1 week after God spoke to Noah, each animal boarded his ark 2 by 2. Then the flood started. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Even the tallest mountains were covered with water. Noah sent out a dove to find dry land, and it came back with an olive branch. After around 9 months, the water had receded until finally the ark rested atop Mount Ararat in Turkey. God then tells Noah to open the ark's door and let the animals swarm the earth and multiply. God makes a covenant with Noah and his children, their descendants, and all the animals and their descendants. God says, "Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth." God put a rainbow in the sky as a reminder of this covenant. In my opinion, Noah may have been righteous in his generation, but he was just that, righteous in his generation. When God tells Noah that he will kill all that breathes on the earth except Noah, his family, and a select few animals, Noah does not argue with God. In Noah's silence, it is as if Noah condemns everyone else to death. Surely there must have been innocent people among those who drowned. If not the adults, what about the children? The babies? The animals? Additionally, in Judaism, we are strong believers in tshuva, redemption. Could Noah have advocated for the people to have the chance to demonstrate tshuva? We never knew if they could have done tshuva because Noah never asked. Later in the Torah, there are a few instances when a leader is given a similar situation, meaning that God threatens to wipe out a group of people because of their behavior. But these later leaders react differently than Noah did, with very different results. For example, 10 generations after Noah in Genesis 18, God tells Abraham that he will destroy everyone in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because they were evil. Abraham then argues with God that an innocent person should not die because they live in a city full of evil people. By arguing with God, Abraham ends up saving a few innocents. More importantly, God seems to like the fact that Abraham is standing up for people who cannot stand up for themselves. Many generations later, when the Israelites were leaving Egypt, God was so frustrated with them that God attempted to wipe out all of the Israelites, except Moses and his family. Just like in Noah's day, God tells Moses that they will start all over again for Moses and his descendants. Moses argues with God for the sake of the Jewish people. First, Moses asks, why should God free the Jews only to kill them in the desert? Second, Moses questions what kind of reputation God would have with the other nations. Third, Moses reminds God of the promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that their descendants will be numerous as the stars in the sky. How can that happen, Moses asks, if God kills everyone? And finally, Moses tells God that if you kill everyone, God must kill Moses too. Again, we see that God very much appreciates a leader arguing for the innocent, and God changes God's mind. In a third example, Jonah is told by God to convince the people of Nineveh to repent and change their evil ways, or else they will be destroyed. Eventually, Jonah gives them this warning. They do tshuva, and they are saved. Noah fails to do what Abraham, Moses, or Jonah did, and so nobody gets a second chance. Let's talk about a modern-day example of this, which is the American response to the crisis in Afghanistan. At the time of writing this, the evil terrorist organizations, the Taliban and ISIS-K, have seized control of Afghanistan. The Taliban aided Osama bin Laden and were the opposition in a 2-decade war that has killed tens of thousands of innocent civilians. In the mid-90s, when the Taliban took control of Afghanistan, they created rules that violate basic human rights, such as women are not allowed to leave their houses, get an education, and interact with non-family members, and that no one gets the freedom of religion, press, speech, or expression. When President Joe Biden was elected, he decided to pull the American troops out. As soon as we did that, chaos ensued. Hundreds of men, women, and children were killed freeing Kabul, with more to come. In my Torah portion, Noah is guilty of not standing up for the people who could not stand up for themselves. Today, I think that President Biden should have left the U.S. military in Afghanistan to protect the lives of the innocent and the human rights of all those who depended on us. The United States needs to stand up not only for the people of Afghanistan, but for the fundamental human rights of freedom and equality. I'm mad because no one stood up to fight for what I think is right. I'm mad at the Taliban trying to suppress a whole nation of people who just want to live under a democracy. I'm mad at the Afghan soldiers for not protecting their people and watching the Taliban walk right into Kabul. I'm mad at former President George W. Bush Jr. for invading Iraq and creating a whole culture of terrorism. I'm mad at the Soviets for taking oil out of Afghanistan during the Soviet-Afghan War in the 1980s. I'm mad at other big countries for never coming to Afghanistan to help. After this evacuation, there is hundreds of thousands of Afghan refugees. The U.S. may take anywhere between 60,000 and 130,000 citizens of Afghanistan into our country. Because the military will not go back into Afghanistan, the refugees will turn to us. These people will be scared, confused, and in need of help. Many lack basic things like clothes, food, furniture, and friends. Some will get very little assistance from the government, but not for a very long time. While thinking of ways to help, I was reminded of the 8 rungs of tzedakah, the tzedakah ladder from the great 12th century teacher Maimonides. Tzedakah is the legal obligation in Judaism to perform acts of justice. There are many levels, and you could write a whole Devar Torah about that. But if you were to donate to reliable sources like New American Pathways, an organization that helps resettle refugees in Atlanta, and neither you nor the recipient know who the other is, that is the second highest form of charity. However, if you volunteer to spend time with these families, teach them English, or help them to get work, then that is fulfilling the best kind of charity. Noah stood idly while many suffered. Let's learn what not to do from Noah's example. But let's be like Abraham, Moses, and Jonah. Let's stand up for those who depend on us and who are in need. Today, I became a bar mitzvah, which means I'm now an adult in the Jewish community. To me, this does not mean that I can drive a car or buy a house, but that I'm responsible for my own Jewish identity. Now and in the future, I plan on being an active member in the synagogue and would like to go at least 15 times a year. I would like to help other people learn the prayers and customs of Judaism by becoming a madrich at the Temple Emanu-El religious school. When I'm older and have a house, I plan on having a mezuzah at every doorpost to remind me of the fact that God is with us always. A big part of my Jewish identity is the state of Israel. I've been to Israel 4 times and plan on going many more times. What makes Israel different from any other country I've been to is that when I'm there, I feel a constant connection with my religion, my people, the land itself, and also God. It is special to step into the old city of Jerusalem, which has been standing for 5 millennia. It is essential to our Judaism that we keep the peace with Israel and its neighboring nations and the people inside of Israel. A value that is important to me is tikkun olam, repairing the world. Repairing the world is the sacred commandment of Jews, to make the world a better place. This is so important because the world is in a rough position right now, and the only way to make it better is put in the effort and really try. This summer, I demonstrated tikkun olam when I teamed up with Coach Bryson Haynes and the Cleveland Cavaliers to offer basketball scholarships for underprivileged youth. I raised money by shooting 500 free throws over the course of 2 days. Many people in our community donated a certain amount of money for every shot I made. Together we raised $7,000. That translates into 125 kids that can go to basketball camp. That's a really big deal. There are so many people that helped me to get to this point, including through the last year and a half when we all have been dealing with the pandemic. Thank you to Rabbi Max, Rabbi Rachel, and Kendra Lauren for teaching me Torah. My gratitude also goes to Coach Bryson, who helped me a lot during COVID and helped foster my love for sports. I look forward to beating you in fantasy. Thank you to Auntie Catherine, Auntie Deborah, and Aunt Sherry, along with Uncle Seth, Uncle Jake, and Cousin Alex for always being there for me. I'd like to thank my grandparents, Allah. I enjoy going with you all over New York visiting museums. That is very special to me, and I learned so much. Dima, I love our conversations about soccer. They help me become a soccer fan. Hopefully Chelsea will do just as well this year as the last. Baba, I love our adventures from anywhere in the U.S. Our trips to Washington, Pennsylvania, and San Francisco were great. It is so very fun to spend time with you. Grumpy, ever since I was a little kid, we have had great conversations about investing, sports, and your stories about cool things that happened in your life. To my little sister, Lulu, thank you so much for being a loving and caring little sister. I love listening to your optimistic view on life, and that should be a model for everyone. Mac, you are the best big brother anyone could ever ask for. Whenever I'm having a tough day, you are always quick to help me out. Mom, your abundant kindness for everyone and everything is inspirational, and no one works harder than you. From your meditation classes to your jungle of plants, I love you so much, and you are the best. Dad, thank you for always being there to help push to be the best I can be. I love our deep conversations about things ranging from Israeli security to Tom Brady's GOAT status. We have a great bond, and it is so important to me. And finally, I'd like to thank you for coming to my bar mitzvah and being a part of our community. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So Mo, it's hard to follow up that kind of act. But in the spirit of your bar mitzvah, it is all of our pleasure. You can look this way, don't worry. We'll take care of the Dvar Torah.
Okay.
It's our pleasure to give you our own blessing as you have blessed us with those wise words, with your chanting. I'm very proud of that as we work together for many, many months, and with your wonderful leadership of our community. I think the thing that I've known you most for, and from day one, is passion. I don't think I've met anybody who in the very first moments of a conversation, not like when we first met, but just like any time that we see each other, you come in 100%. You're dialed to 11 for any topic that we're talking about. It's basketball or soccer or geopolitics, whatever it is. I feel like you always come in just with so much energy. everything that you approach is with love and passion and joy, and I know that's something that you bring to all areas of your life, and I wish for that always for you, that you always find the passion and the energy with the things that you have to do, and for also for the things that you get to do, for all of those wonderful moments and more.
Mo.
Hi, Rabbi Rachel.
Bye. Speaking of passion, no one has ever had the chutzpah to debate me, the rabbi, quite like you did. And it was awesome. It was so much fun because you were invested in this. Like, this mattered to you. This matters to you. Your Judaism matters to you. And that's almost bigger than anything, because it's this Judaism, it's this community of people that are going to carry you through, and that you're now, as that young man, that Jewish adult, you're now one of the people that everyone else gets to turn to. And Mo, you have such a sense of right and wrong, very passionate about what is right, very passionate about what is wrong. And in many ways, that is going to get you so far, because you're gonna be like Abraham and stand up for people who don't have a voice. And at the same time, maybe there's like a little lesson from Noah. Maybe there's something to take away from just being righteous in your own generation. So it's not to say that he made the exact right choice or the exact wrong choice in how he approached God's demolishing flood of the world. But what happened in that moment, when he made that choice, he's still righteous in his generation. And so I know that you push yourself so hard in everything you do. You give it your all. And you might not be Abraham, and that's okay. You might not be Moses, which is ironic, and that's okay. But even if you're like Noah, who gets called righteous in his generation, in many ways, that's the Jewish way. Because if you're righteous in your generation, that means you've made a difference in the life that you've lived, so that the next generation, because generations do come after Noah, so that the next generation can be better off than you were. And so, Mo, your job is, you can be like Abraham, you can be like Moses. I think you could be a little bit like Noah too. And in harnessing all of those ancestors, Mo, you're going to take us really, really far, and I'm so thrilled to be there with you on this journey. And if you want to debate, call me anytime.
Okay. Moses! Oh my goodness. I've known you for a long time now. And I remember when we sat down to get you started for your bar mitzvah, and it was on Zoom because COVID. And I thought to myself, I cannot wait. I can't wait. Because you just brought this energy, even to that first session, and questions you were thinking about, you were already thinking about your Torah portion. Wow, just wow. And so what I want to talk about is how I have watched you teach others. And so it really makes me so joyful to know that you're going to come back as a madrich on Sundays. I'm going to miss you in my class because you have been in my Kippah class for, I think, 2.5 years. 3 years now. And I've watched as you have helped your peers and guided them and have shared your voice in many different ways. And I think that not only do you do that with passion, you do that with energy and with courage and authenticity. What I heard in your Davar Torah is that you shared your voice so purely, so authentically. And when you do that, and you are teaching others. That is just the greatest gift that you could give to anyone. And so I really look forward to, Moses, watching you share that amazing gift over and over and over again on your journey. And I just can't wait to see where you end up. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
So friends, I'll ask you to please rise so that we can offer a little priestly benediction and then head into our Haftarah.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May the light of God shine upon you and always be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasim lecha shalom.
May wherever you go, you feel God's presence with you always, granting you the most precious gift of all, the gift of shalom, the gift of peace.
Amen. All right, friends, please, I'll invite you to take a seat as we head into our Haftarah. The blessings can be found on pages 36 and 37. And what Mo is about to chant is from the book of Isaiah. And he's the prophet who, at this section and really throughout, who reminds the Israelites that they haven't always done things quite right. But he preaches, Isaiah that is, an everlasting love of God, that the Israelites can be a restored people. Mo, Isaiah knows of the covenant that God made with Noah, and so he trusts, Isaiah the prophet, he trusts that the covenant will be maintained in his day, and this time it's despite their wrongdoings, despite the Israelites' wrongdoings, that God is going to show mercy.
Do you see where you are?
Yeah.
Excellent. Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'minim tovim v'ratzah v'divrechem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher ba'torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'in vinei chamed v'tzedek.
Amen.
Roni hakara lo yalada pitirina v'tzahali lo hala ki rabim b'nei shomema v'imnevula amar Adonai harhivi mikom ahalev v'irot mishkenotayich yatu el tashkichi harihi metareich v'tirotayich chazeki ki yamin usmu tifrotzi v'zarim goyim irash v'yarim nishmot yoshivu al tiri kilo tevoshi v'al tikomi kilo tachpiri kivoshet alumayich tishkahi v'harpat amenutayich lo tiskariod ki ulayich asayich Adonai tzavot shmo v'galayich kadosh Yisrael Elokei haaretz yikareh.
Beautiful. Our blessing for after Haftarah, page 37.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzadik b'chol dorot el haneman haomer v'oseh hamedaber kayem shekol darav emet v'tzedek haTorah v'havodah v'hanviim v'al yom haShabbat hazeh shenatan lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha l'chachavot u'tiferet al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach u'mevarim otah yetabarei shimcha befi kol chai chai tamid le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Beautiful, Mo. And so we'll close out our full Torah service here. We'll turn to page 39. I'd like to invite Fort Elaine Wu and Sherry Anderson to please help us to open the ark. And as they're heading up, I'll invite everyone to please rise. Spike and Marita, if you guys will come up as well to help carry the Torah back into the ark.
Etz Chaim hi, lama chazikim ba, v'tomchecha meushar, d'racheha, darchei noam, v'chol netivoteha, shalom, hashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh Yomeinu, Chadesh Yomeinu, Kekeden.
Thank you very much. Spike, if you'll join Mo up there, and Marita, join Mo. Everyone please be seated. Now is our time for a little parent blessing. So Mo, you have received blessings from everyone, and now is time for some tears, some laughter, so that we can hear all about your journey and the blessings that you will get from Mom and Dad today.
There is a barber shop in our neighborhood where Spike and the boys get their haircuts. It's a traditional Atlanta barber shop where women rarely make an appearance. And one of my favorite things to do is to get a glimpse into Moses' conversation with the 4 barbers and their clients as I slink away to wait for him outside. It is always an animated debate of epic proportions about athletes, sport teams, politics, music, and culture. Moses has learned when to speak up and when to be quiet and listen. The men at the barber shop love him and light up when he shows up. I think Mo's insatiable curiosity and his desire to learn has more to do with his love of connection with people than anything else. You, Moses, thrive on connection. You are so much fun to travel with because you talk to everyone and find ways to connect wherever you go. And the pandemic has been really tough for your gregarious spirit. Yet you found ways to connect with people in the darkest of months. You called to check in on your grandparents every week. You found ways to connect with Cousin Alex in Israel. You baked for our neighbors, for our friends, and even strangers, often asking, is there anyone you know who needs cheering up? Is there anyone who's sick who may like a cake? Moses remembers everyone's birthday. He has memorized the family calendar of events. He gives the most incredibly thoughtful and beautiful gifts without prompting and without reminders. He cares deeply for others. He dances, he sings, he bounces around the house with bubbly energy. And life has not always been easy for Mo. He knows what it is like to live in pain and uncertainty as he manages familial Mediterranean fever. This whole event is actually inspired by the Mediterranean region, which we are choosing to celebrate and elevate. He navigates a genetic condition that may have saved his ancestors from illness 1,000 years ago, but it is surely a challenge for him today. This challenge has made him so compassionate and resilient. You have always asked big existential questions. What is this all about, Mom? What is the meaning of it all? This right here, this moment, this is it. I love you so much.
I want to start just by thanking Rabbis and Cantor for doing such a great job with our son, and to the congregation for providing such an amazing venue and community for this type of simcha, which we do every week, but it really is different when it's yours. And of course, friends and family who've traveled from near and far, folks who are joining us online and in person. Mo, when Mom and I were trying to think about what it is that we wanted to say, we're going through different Moses stories, and there are so many of them. Trying to think of one that sort of captured the essence of you. And as we're talking, there is this one particular story that called Your Name to Me. For those of us who, is that on? Try that one. Thanks, Rabbi Max. Oh yeah, that's better. For those who know us, Marita and I have a loathing for Costco. We really cannot stand being in Costco, and the crowds, even before COVID, the crowds and all the stuff everywhere, and everyone's, I don't know, we don't like it. And there's this great story, Mo, that I'm going to share with everyone, where you and Mom, right when we moved to Atlanta, so 7-ish years ago, and you and Mom are at Costco, and you're sitting in the cart. That's how small you were, sitting in the cart. And I think Mom was likely expressing her dislike about Costco and everything that was going on as you're there doing the shopping. And I think you had probably had some indication at school, or maybe through your time with us, I'm not sure, but you said, Mom, in the middle of all this, you said, Mom, isn't it true that God is everywhere? And Mom stopped, was like, yeah, I guess so. Said, even at Costco? To which you made her pause. She said yes. And then, this is my favorite part, right there in the middle of Costco, you start belting out the Shema. And Moses, there's so many things that we can say about you, but for me, that is the quintessential Moses. That's the quintessential nature of who you are. You can be in the middle of chaos, in the middle of all sorts of distractions, and you still are grounded enough in who you are and in your traditions that you can be open enough to welcome God into our presence, and from there it's an expanding concentric circle to everyone around you, from you to your parents and brother and sister, your extended family, your various communities, and that openness to bringing in the divine and the light that comes with that, we think is the essence of who you are, even in tough, rough, uncertain times. And our hope is that you take that and you just go with it. The next level on the next level, because I have to tell you, son, the world needs it, and we need you to do it. So we love you very, very much, and we're so proud of you. And I think that this is such a great occasion, we should do it again tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay, so Lou, Mac, come on up, join the family. Ask everyone to please rise as we turn to page 40 for Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'ateit gidula le'otzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu koreim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, l'ifnei melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar, V'chaya Adonai. Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad.
Very good. All right, Andersons, I'll ask you to return to the Amud right there, and everyone else, you may be seated.
Okay.
Wait for the flame to pass.
Take its time. Before we conclude our service, we do so in memory. Mo, as we are here surrounded by so many people who love you, we know that this is not everyone who could be here. That there are so many important people who are no longer with us, who have died years and years ago, who are memories, who are blessings to you and to your family, to everyone who loves you. And in this moment, we believe that they are looking down on you, on what you have done, and they are smiling. And so in this moment, we are calling to mind Clara and Harry Friedman, Milton and Francis Anderson, Shurik Kamishnikov, Sasha Marcus, and Arkady Marcus. And we know that their memory is very much in your family's heart and mind as you have become bar mitzvah in this moment. If there is anybody in the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise so our congregation may recognize you. Anyone in the first year mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise. And if anyone is commemorating a yard site around this Shabbat, I invite you to please rise so our congregation may recognize you. If it is your custom to join our bar mitzvah family in rising for Mourners Kaddish in memory of the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, in the Holocaust, or for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we do so now at this time, turning to page 41. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru Amen.
Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'amei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalal shmei kirisha b'richu. V'ne'elah min kol berta b'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiram b'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim alinu le'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen.
Oseh shalom imromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. Oseh shalom imromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. La 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 la
And so, friends, we'll remain standing. Anderson family, if you will head over to our ritual items for Havdalah, we will transition from this Shabbat afternoon service into the new week. And we bring with it so much joy and so much happiness and all of the wonderful things that Moses will continue to bring to us as well. Our Havdalah song sheet. Do we not have the sheets?
The sheets are on the back table.
Oh, people got sheets. People got
Some
sheets.
people
Yeah,
have
you're
sheets.
good. You're good.
They picked them up on the way in.
All right, we have our Havdalah candle lit.
And if you'd like to put your arm around your pod, sway.
Our grape juice.
We bless the wine. We bless the spices. We bless the flame. Ben Kodesh lechol, Chatotenu imcho, Zar'enu v'chaspenu yarbechacho, V'chakochavim balayla. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. Simin tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tovu, simin tov, simin tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tovu, simin tov, simin tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tovu, simin tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Mazel tov.
That's a wrap.
Shavua tov, everybody.
Shavua tov.
Moses Anderson.
Go say thank you, please.
Thank you so much.
Can I give you a hug?
Thank you so much.